Hey everyone, welcome back to part 3 of our Magic Blue Mushroom series. In this part, we're going to add some movement magic, using the wiggle to Adon to make our mushroom's bones move automatically. With just a few clicks, we'll bring life into our model. No keyframes needed. Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the final result with the wiggle effect in action. Alright, let's jump in and wiggle things up. Before we continue, here are a few important tips when working with Wiggle 2. First, to preview the wiggle effect, you can move the base bone directly. This helps you see how the child bones react in real time. Alternatively, you can also add wiggle to bones that already have animation. Wiggle 2 will add extra motion on top of your keyframes. Very important, make sure to save your project first. Once you add wiggle modifiers, it's best not to change the bone structure anymore. Why? Because if you're using AutoRig Pro, modifying bones after applying wiggle can break the rig and cause mismatch issues. First, let's select the rig of our mushroom. Make sure we're selecting the armature object. Switch to pose mode. This is where we'll apply the wiggle animation to specific bones. Next, press N on the keyboard to open the side panel. Then go to the animation tab. This is where the Wiggle 2 controls live. You should see the Wiggle 2 panel right here. If you don't, double check that the Adon is installed and enabled in Preferences. Before we apply the wiggle, let's hit the spacebar to start the animation playback. This helps us see the wiggle effect in real time. Now, let's select the bone we want to wiggle. In this case, I'll choose the top cap bone to make the mushroom look alive. With the bone selected, go to the Wiggle 2 panel and click Bone Tail to apply the wiggle modifier. Now, we can adjust the settings to control how the bone moves. Mass, this affects the weight of the movement. Higher mass equals heavier swing. Stiff controls how stiff or loose the motion is. Stretch. This adds a stretchy, elastic feel to the motion. Dampening reduces the bounce higher values. Make it settle faster. Gravity, use this to pull the motion downward or give it a floating feel. Try playing around with the values to get the motion you like. Now that you've seen how to apply wiggle 2 to 1 bone, I'll continue applying it to the rest of the rig. We'll go from top to bottom, starting at the tip of the cap, then to the lower cap, followed by the hanging veil pieces or ring. And finally, we'll give the stem a nice subtle motion for the finishing touch. To keep this part smooth, I'll speed things up. Feel free to pause the video anytime if you want to follow along step by step. want to render your animation with all the wiggle effects, make sure to bake the wiggle first. Just scroll down to the Bake Wiggle section, then click the Bake Wiggle button. This will convert the motion into keyframes. Without baking, Blender won't render the wiggle motion properly, so don't skip this. And that's it for part 3. Our mushroom is now alive and wiggling. In the next part, we'll paint textures and add outlines to bring out that cartoony magic look. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more Toon Blend tutorials. See you in the next one.